You know, it's been a whole year now since it's hard to believe that. We watched that young woman from Canada paralyzed in a freak accident fight to walk down the aisle.
Well, I decided to pay a visit to Jen and Mike Belowitz to see how the couple has endured that life-changing accident and their new role as husband and wife. She's been called the Paralyzed Bride all over the world. And who could ever forget that magical moment 1 year ago when everyone would hold their breath as Jen Belowitz would do what seemed impossible, walk down the aisle.
I saw myself walking down the aisle with my dad just like every other girl, and then I got hurt. So I had to change what I was originally thinking.
Here in Windsor, Ontario, tears were flowing as she married Mike Belowitz, the man who proposed after she was paralyzed. With braces she had practiced in for hours on end, she walked to her one true love.
I was just, you know, so happy with how it went, and the walk down the aisle was perfect. Our dance was the best we had ever danced at that point. You know, with all the practice, I think I just kept telling him how happy I was with how that day went.
That joyful day was a long time coming. Jen and Mike were in a freak car accident 4 years ago. Mike, a paramedic, would have to carry her out of this van. She was the only one severely hurt. It took years of physical therapy at the Detroit Medical Center's Rehabilitation Institute for Jen to get to this moment of wedded bliss. Now Jen and Mike's journey continues. It's been a year.
Yeah.
So how's it going?
It flew by really quickly. So in the last year, we went on our honeymoon, which was amazing. 2.5 weeks, Hawaii.
Jen and Mike say Hawaii was beyond their imagination with its beauty. Mike would carry her to the water. Snorkeling was their favorite memory.
The fish were just amazingly, like the colors of some of the fish that you see in the aquariums, but they're, you know, swimming right past you.
Any challenges for you guys while you're on the honeymoon, especially with Jen not being able to use her legs always?
Not everything's accessible. It's accessible as, you know, as American standards will be over there, but they're also islands, and there's a lot of hills and bumps.
And where Jen's wheelchair would not carry her, Mike's arms would.
It makes me feel happy that I can do anything to make Jen's life easier. So whether it's having to pick her up and bringing her, you know, to something that she can't get to, it's fulfilling, I guess.
Another challenge their love had to endure, living apart for nearly a year, because Jen's parents' home had wheelchair accessibility, and Mike often stayed at his parents' home to be close to work. All the while, their new 2,600 square foot 4-bedroom home was being built from the ground up.
Every bit of that house had to be thought out ahead of time, because if we went and built it and it wasn't going to work for me, it wasn't going to be accessible, I was going to have to live with that for forever.
There's an elevator that goes to the basement, that way Jen can get to the basement.
Yeah.
We have a workout room as well in the basement. That way, Jen's dad actually just built some parallel bars so that Jen's going to be able to do a lot of her training at our house.
And Jen's 3-day-a-week training at RIM has changed too. It's no longer about a walk down the aisle, but about living together in a new environment.
More strength training, keeping my core strong, my upper body strong, so when I do go home, I can adapt any of the workouts to my everyday life.
And while a cat and dog will do, the pitter-patter of little feet is still a possibility.
Tell me, does the thought of having babies scare you all at all?
As soon as the child can walk, I can't, you know, I can roll on flat surfaces, but if they go running, I can't run after it. So there's a lot of factors that worry me, that make me feel like it's a lot to take on.
But from what we've witnessed, there's no hurdle big enough that would prevent these two from stepping forward and facing another one.
From here, I guess, we'll take it one day at a time.
The biggest thing I learned from doing everything in the last 4 years, and even going through the whole process of preparing for the wedding and just reaching my goal, was to just never really give up on what you want.
Jen and Mike are such an inspiration to others who are physically challenged. They both speak out about their challenges publicly, even to high school students, where no question is off limits, even how they'll have a baby with her being paralyzed and all.
What struck me, she talked about how that's kind of scares her because it's such a big challenge, but it looks like she's ready to take on any challenge. Just that whole series you did on her learning to walk before the wedding, I thought was just phenomenal.
Phenomenal, and I mean, if you see her, they teach her at RIM how to walk on her arms, and really she talks about being able to lift a baby from her wheelchair. But you know what? Together, Mike and Jen, I believe, could do anything.
But I think any baby they will have will learn inspiration from the ground up.
Absolutely.
That's
I
a
agree.
good lesson.